because we always believe the future is today.
What's the single defining moment that shaped what Dialog Enterprise is doing?
Investing in the right technology ahead of the curve.
Welcome to the 20 Years of Dialog Enterprise podcast series, and today we're going to talk about a very special topic. 2 decades, 1 mission. And for this, we have none other than our 2 very leaders, Supun and Navin. How are you all doing today?
Great.
Thank you. So Supun, without further ado, anchoring credibility without a timeline. I think Dialog Enterprise is a remarkable organization today. And 2 decades of Dialog Enterprise, what's the single defining moment that shaped what Dialog Enterprise is today?
Yeah, so there have been many defining moments over the last 2 decades of our journey. Out of that, I think there are a few that comes to my mind. One, the belief that Sri Lankan enterprises are ready to adopt the very latest of technology to progress their businesses and advance the access to markets and advance their manufacturing capabilities with the very best in the world. Amongst several decisions that we had to take over the last 2 decades, I think one of the defining ones is our decision to merge with Santel. Santel being a leader in enterprise connectivity way back in 2012, we merged with the Santel organization and brought it under the wing of Dialog and large Dialog Enterprise. That gave us the platform to expand connectivity to Sri Lankan enterprises, and with that also we got access to a good set of talent, processors and customers from which we could launch our enterprise journey to where it is today.
Thank you, Supun. Navin, let's take a look at you for a moment. Every enterprise goes through a moment that nearly breaks it, or rather forces it to reinvent itself. What was that moment for Dialog Enterprise in your purview, and what did it teach us today?
Yeah, good question. I think going forward from what Supun said, I believe every enterprise has that moment where it has to reinvent itself to grow. And for us, that was, I would say, Santel, meaning that it was the recognition that we just couldn't grow just being a mobile enterprise solutions company. And our customers were also asking us for fixed connectivity, for cloud, for digital solutions. But they also wanted somebody who could bring all these together. And I think the learning for us here was that you need to make that change. You need to recognize that and make that change early and be prepared. It is something that we saw with our customers as well. We saw that during COVID, right? Customers who had already made the change to digital technologies and cloud were able to do better on day one. Others struggled, right? So the learning there is basically stay ahead of the curve. And also, I think the takeaway for customers as well as Dialog, for us as a Dialog Enterprise, is to keep our customer also ahead of the curve. Today we are talking about AI. It shouldn't be what can AI do now, but what can AI do next? And that's what we should be actually talking to the customer about.
Supun, I think a question to you. This one is maybe a bit tricky, but we'd like your thought on this. If Dialog Enterprise didn't exist, what would Sri Lankan businesses look like today? What's the one transformation that you are most proud of enabling?
The 9/11 attack on the Twin Towers. At night, I was working with Dr. Hans preparing the business plan to merge with Santel. So that was 2001. We finally completed the merger 11 years later in 2012. That we have been working thinking about this space and how we can bring the capabilities of Santel to really launch the enterprise space, combining the strengths and resources of Dialog.
So if Dialog Enterprise didn't exist today, what would the Sri Lankan business look like? And what's that one transformation that you're very proud of?
Yeah, I think we are proud of giving access to technology to everyone and making technology affordable and available to every enterprise. Because we are wireless, we are able to reach every corner of the country. And because we have the scale, we are able to make technology affordable to the masses. So be it the blue chip large corporate listed on the stock exchange to a startup that is venturing into a new enterprise is able to get access to our technology, the very latest that technology offers in connectivity at a price that is affordable to Sri Lankans. And we were able to break a lot of barriers to achieve that. One fundamental being, again, believing in our country. Over the last 2 decades, Sri Lanka went through a lot of challenges. There were many international investors, many large multinationals who went away closing shop in Sri Lanka, including many large telcos that exited Sri Lanka. But during that time, we doubled down on our investments during the height of the war or the other challenges that we had, be it COVID, the tsunami challenge that we had in 2004, economic crisis. We continue to invest, and today we are the largest foreign direct investment in the country. And this consistent investment enabled us to build world-class infrastructure in the country, enabling us to provide affordable connectivity to every Sri Lankan. I think that is the piece that we will miss if Dialog wasn't there today.
Thank you, Supun. Crisis never stopped us.
No, it didn't, but it created a lasting memory.
Okay.
And then it helped probably 10 years later to combine it at a lot more viable proposition. And at that time, Dialog was a lot more stronger. And we could really make use of the capabilities that we got from Santel to create an even larger impact, I would say.
Okay.
I think crisis has never stopped us. I think crisis after crisis, we've found opportunities. And I think our enterprises also have found opportunities in those crises. So as a country also, I think we've been very resilient. Our businesses have been resilient. And they've used technology quite well to come out of those crises. So crisis is not something that we see as negative sometimes.
Navin, you worked with enterprises from banks to apparel, the greater part of pretty much all of the large enterprises in Sri Lanka. You worked with all of them. What's changed the most about what Sri Lankan businesses need from technology today, or rather from a technology partner like us?
Yeah,
compared to 5 years ago, of course.
Sure. What I see is that earlier the conversations were mostly about connectivity. Whether our conversations with business was about coverage, it was about uptime, coverage gaps, how do we fix those? Those were the questions we dealt with. But more and more, currently the biggest change I see, our conversations are about transformation. And businesses want to know how can we use the networking better? How can we make our applications better? How can we transform what we are doing and the way we are doing? How can we work faster? So these are the conversations we are having now. And I think that's where we also need, we come in and help businesses in that transformation journey so that they can transform very quickly to the new paradigms that are out there.
Okay. So, based on what you said, just picking on a few points there. 2 decades ago, enterprise meant voice and connectivity. Today, it's way beyond that. Today we have cloud, we have AI, we have cybersecurity, and we have all kinds of product arrays in our digital infrastructure. Where is Dialog Enterprise placing its biggest bets for the next decade?
Good question, and that's a tough one. Maybe Supun can chip in as well. I of course think it's where, and we are seeing this now, it's where connectivity and ICT actually converge, and it's where that convergence is driven by AI. So that space is where I think that change will happen.
Supun, your thoughts on that? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think what we look at and what we have to do as a mandate is, or the responsibility we carry is, how do we make our enterprises competitive tomorrow in a global marketplace? What technologies, what platforms that we give access to for them to achieve that, whether to improve access to markets, whether to lower their cost base. I think those are the outcomes that we need to do, and underlying to achieve that, it is a mix of having best-in-class digital connectivity at their doorstep.
Okay.
I think there's nothing that we can do if we don't do a great job in building world-class digital infrastructure in the form of connectivity. Then on top of that, cloud, AI will play a significant role so that they can leverage these platforms and reach the world, remain competitive, and grow their businesses.
Okay. Supun, I think you mentioned AI, and I'd like to ask this from you. I mean, everyone talks about AI transforming businesses today. And for a small or medium-sized Sri Lankan enterprise, what does that actually look like in practice? How is Dialog Enterprise making AI accessible, available, and sort of readily available for them to use, and not just aspirational?
Yes, I think AI can mean different things to different people. In our context, we have always looked at how do we make this technology accessible, affordable, as well as relevant. And in that equation, relevance comes to the top, and in relevance in terms of language, because we have maybe 60% who speak in Sinhalese, another 20% plus speak in Tamil as their native language, and then maybe 15% who are comfortable with Sinhala. So if we don't make these technologies relevant to their language, to the language that they are familiar with, then we haven't done a good job in taking them. And then we end up more increasing the divide than bridging the divide. The corporates who have access to very latest technology and resources will break away and grow faster than the enterprise in a rural Sri Lanka. So it is important to break the language barrier and then giving tools which are useful to them in that context. So one such effort is launch of Dialog AI, a portal that provides you access to AI tools in the language that you prefer. It could be in Sinhala, English, or Tamil. And we have provided tools to support their business. Also, we have created a marketplace for other AI developers to put their application on. So through this portal, Dialog AI portal, we are trying to take AI to the mass enterprise, make it relevant to the masses. Then while we do that, the top of the pyramid, we have the larger enterprises. And to support them, we are looking at bringing the larger language models, making them accessible, as well as strengthening our data center infrastructure so that they can process AI workloads in Sri Lanka without having to take them overseas. Because in most situations, due to data privacy requirements, the data needs to remain in Sri Lanka, and the biggest challenge is how do you get the hardware resources to process those AI workloads. And to that end, we are in the process of making relevant investments to strengthen our data center infrastructure and then serving these large enterprises.
Okay.
Lastly, we also provide access to the large language models and AI processing capabilities outside Sri Lanka through our international bandwidth and the payment platforms that we provide through Dialog Enterprise. So it's a mix of local small enterprise accessing AI to the large corporate wanting to process their workloads in Sri Lanka or leverage the hyperscalers for their AI work.
Also, I agree with everything that he has said. I think AI shouldn't be really futuristic. It should be useful, right? And that's what we've been doing, basically bringing AI tools and things to our customers. But one thing I think we need to also say is that Dialog has been on this AI journey for a number of years now, ourselves. So, and we've worked through a lot of use cases, done things, dropped things, done good things. We know what's bad, through experience. And that's something that I don't think you can buy out of a box. And that's something that we bring uniquely to our customer, is that the knowledge base that we have built by doing AI for ourselves. That is, I think, priceless. Because it's that experience that you need to make all these tools work the way it should. And we also know what to say, don't do, rather than what to do as well. I think that is a key offering or key thing that we can see when you are working with Dialog Enterprise. We have that ecosystem behind us that who have really put AI solutions on the ground. So that's something that I want to share.
So thank you, Navin. I think it's been very insightful. This question, I'd like the both of you to answer. So like I said, Sri Lanka has been through an economic crisis, and the both of you mentioned turbulence and crisis in our previous conversations. And right now we have a currency crisis. There is a global supply chain disruption. How is Dialog Enterprise helping its customers build resilience, and not just through efficiency, but for what comes next? How are we preparing our customers? Navin, if you could.
Yeah, as I said, crisis always, there are ways around it, or there's opportunity in crisis. And more so for digital. In crisis like this, where there is fuel, I won't say shortages, but high cost of fuel. And also, not dollar crisis per se, but the rising rupee against the dollar as well. So working from home is one of those strategies, and we've been able as a company and a network to pivot very quickly from working from office to helping companies work from wherever they are located. And this we saw during COVID as well, where overnight we had to change what we were doing and enable companies to work from home. The other side of it, from a technology perspective, I think is also right now there is a lot of shortages, and some of those shortages are in memory chips and so on. So when we are working with customers, if you order a server, they say it will take 6 months to ship. So how are we going to now digitize, and how are these companies going to digitize going forward? So that's where cloud comes in. Those cloud solutions then provide you with options to basically do what you want without waiting for deliveries of these hardware and so on. So there are many such examples that I can say from helping or coming out with solutions for customers during crisis as well.
Supun, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think while Navin did a very direct pitch, I would try and give an indirect pitch. I think crisis would always remind us to take stock of what's going on, take a moment to reflect, because I think you tend to, in the day-to-day operations, you tend to keep running without reflecting how ready are you for the next opportunity or the next challenge. The crisis, every crisis gives you that electric shock to assess your readiness to sustain, continue to grow and expand, or are you going to go down with the crisis? I think it is important to make use of that opportunity, and in most situations when you circle back, you will realize that if you are to remain competitive, if you are to sustain your operations, it's about embracing technology and adopting different processes or accessing new markets to really improve your chances of sustaining to the future. And then you need to double down on that, say especially double down on adopting technology, because the crisis will always, in many instances, will push your cost up, be it currency devaluation, be it interest rate hike, or be it inflation-led situation or fuel price hike. In most situations, directly or indirectly, your cost base will go up. And if you are to sustain your margins, and you cannot pass everything to your consumer, because you are competing with other local competitors or overseas players. And in most situations, to build that resilience, you need to embrace technology. You need to find faster, better, efficient ways of doing things.
Thank you, Supun. Navin, I think I'd like to ask something from you. Large enterprises have always had access to technology. But Sri Lanka's economy is now running on SMEs. And what is Dialog Enterprise's role in making enterprise-grade technology more accessible to the SMEs?
Yeah, I think we've always seen ourselves or aspired to supporting SMEs and building solutions for SMEs, from standard connectivity solutions to different data-based solutions, Internet of Things, tracking solutions, and so on. Basically, looking at also the affordability factor for SMEs. They may not be able to afford the same kind of solution, so the same the configurations of these solutions as the large enterprises. So we've looked at how we can bring these technologies to SMEs in, let's say, bite-sized solution components. That's one from a solution side. I think the other thing is also how we are set up to support SMEs. First, from a sales perspective, from a SME education perspective, and reach to SMEs, we are available across the country. Wherever you are, you can reach us, or you can walk into one of our arcades as well for your SME solutions. So that is one aspect. Then from a support angle as well, we are again a nationwide company. We have the reach to support any SME anywhere in the country as well. Added on to that, also we have come up with certain platforms that enable SMEs to actually look at and educate themselves also on the solutions that they have. One such platform is our enterprise marketplace, which is a digital marketplace for a lot of these SME solutions through connectivity, through payment solutions, be it vehicle tracking solutions, messaging solutions on how to reach your customer. All of those are available from a digital perspective on the marketplace. The other platform that we have is also Dialog, where we have a lot of, it's a knowledge base actually for SMEs on best practices, products, and so on as well. So I think from product to support to sales to platforms, we have built an ecosystem that can support and will support SMEs in this country, because as you said, SMEs are the engine of the nation.
Thank you, Navin. Supun, global competitiveness as a subject. Can a Sri Lankan business powered by the right digital infrastructure compete with anyone in the world? What needs to happen for that to be true? And what's Dialog Enterprise doing it to make it happen in your purview?
Yeah, I think a simple answer is yes. There are many Sri Lankan enterprises that has gone beyond Sri Lanka and then established and got to very strong positions in global markets, serving many markets. I think the larger examples of in apparel space, likes of MAs, Brandix, Hydromoney, many larger partners who had worked with us through the years to establish that capability. And it could be in other areas like rubber. I think Sri Lanka has more than 60% share when it comes to solid tire manufacturing. One, because of its raw material, the expertise that we bring as a country, and the location. So there are many such industries that we have gone beyond Sri Lanka, established as a world-leading provider. And there are also smaller startups who have excelled in the global space. So I would say it's around the basics of fundamentals of business, staying focused, looking at what problem you are going to solve, and then really razor sharp in terms of your focus. Be disciplined in terms of how you go about doing it, not trying to solve every problem that you see. Really disciplined in your approach, and be sharp in your execution, so that you can get wins and build on that rather than trying to reach all the markets at the same time. And leverage the very latest of technology. I think if you look at from east to the west, the most successful organizations or the newcomers who have been able to disrupt are those who have leveraged technology. Unless you have an inherent advantage like raw material or access to oil or earth mineral, you have to use technology in solving a problem or creating an application that create value. And to that end, we offer, be it in Colombo or in a rural part of Sri Lanka, to get access to the global internet and get very best of connectivity through our own ecosystem and our partner ecosystem, including likes of Starlink. Then you get access to tools that Navin mentioned, be it from cloud computing, digital solutions, the other capabilities that we have extended through the marketplace. So I don't see that there is any shortage or lack of solutions. Maybe not everything is created by us, and we believe in always working together partners and providing access to those technologies for the local consumer to pay in Sri Lankan rupees, not having to have US dollars to purchase, and pay using your own bank account. So I think it's around doing those fundamental basic business principles right. There's a lot of learning through Diria portal that Navin mentioned, and then leveraging technology. I think if you don't leverage technology, it's quite hard to really break through unless you have inherent advantage, which is very scarce to come by. And then we try to bring everything together through Dialog Enterprise and our Dialog ecosystem.
Thank you, Supun. So, gentlemen, I think this has been a very knowledgeable and insightful conversation. So, as we move to the last part of our conversation, let's do something different. Navin, starting with you, let's make a bet. All right. If you could make one bold bet for Dialog Enterprise over the next 5 years, something that would fundamentally change what's possible for Sri Lankan businesses, what would it be?
I don't make bets, he makes the bets. I play the cards. But what is the biggest bet? Difficult one. I think basically investing in the right technology ahead of the curve, as we talked about earlier as well. So basically looking at what are those platforms that we need to bring, and one of them obviously is 5G that we've launched as well, and even some of the AI platforms, and actually I would say demystifying them for the wider business community, and bringing those solutions to the customers. Basically, that's what I think we should really bet on.
Yeah, so I think adding on to what Navin said, I would say we would stay focused on our purpose, delivering on our purpose of enriching and empowering Sri Lankan lives and enterprises. So, big part of our purpose, the reason why we exist is because to empower Sri Lankan enterprises. So we will try to stay focused on delivering on that purpose. That means we believe in a better, brighter Sri Lanka. We believe that Sri Lanka will progress in this journey, will get to a more equitable nation that has access to a wider resource base for everyone. We also believe, or we would take our ethos or principle on Sri Lankan enterprise itself. That as I started my conversation, Sri Lankan enterprises will continue to consume these platforms, will continue to take very latest technology to empower their business. And thirdly, we would relentlessly continue to push the boundary when it comes to technology adoption, introducing the very latest technology and investing in the very latest technology, because Sri Lankan enterprise is second to none in the world, and we believe that Sri Lankan enterprise should be served with the very best and very latest technology. That's where we see the next 5 years panning out.
So, thank you, Supun. I think there are young entrepreneurs and technologists watching this right now. What is that one thing you would like to tell them about building the future, and rather not just surviving it?
I think building the future, it starts today, because we always believe the future is today. So you need to take that step today and adopt technology. As I mentioned earlier, focus, discipline, hard work. That combination, technology, focus, discipline, hard work, together with persistence, you can achieve what you believe in. It's that passion that you bring to the table, and the passion, the belief that you have, and everything else will fall in line, and we are there to support you in this journey, be it through technology or even investing in some of your projects through our innovation fund. We have nurtured and supported more than nearly 10 enterprises. Some have gone beyond Sri Lanka, some have excelled in Sri Lanka. And we believe in supporting not only through technology but also access to financial resources as well.
Thank you, Supun. Thank you, Navin. This has been very insightful. And with that, we come to the end of another episode of our 20 years anniversary of Dialog Enterprise podcast series. Stay tuned for more.